Phoenix Splash TV. One of the first J-Rock groups I ever got into was a group called Luna Sea. They're one of those bands that just blew me away as soon as I listened to them. Whenever I listen to music, and this is true to this day, the main thing I always listen for is uniqueness, and you can hear it instantly when you listen to Luna Sea. If you're a fan of Visual Kei or just J-Rock in general, then you have probably heard of this group, or at least have heard of their most popular member, Sugizo. Speaking of members, let's go ahead and start with the lineup. The band leader and bass player is known as Jay. On rhythm guitar you have Inoran, on lead guitar you have Sugizo, on drums you have Shinya, and on vocals you have Ryuichi. Luna Sea is one of the few bands that have been blessed by the gods because they have never had to replace any of their members. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons that Luna Sea is very identifiable when you listen to them. I feel like each member has their own unique style when they approach their instrument. The first thing that stood out to me with Luna Sea was their vocalist Ryuichi. He's what really hooked me into their music. I just have never heard anyone sing like him to this day. I mean, just listen. Though they took quite the hiatus, they are still active today. Luna Sea was started by Jay and Inoran while they were still in high school, and they first called the band Luna Sea rather than Luna Sea. They recruited bass player Sugizo and drummer Shinya from a band called Pinocchio. Sugizo would end up dropping the bass and picking up lead guitar to supplement the new band. During another round of scouting, they finally found a vocalist named Ryuichi from a band called Slaughter. Now that the lineup was set in stone, the band would go on to release small demos, many of them only having 100 copies. They played on many shows and in 1991 changed their name from Luna Sea to Luna Sea. It was around this time that they would be discovered by Ecstasy Records talent scout / ex-Japan guitar player Hide, and they would eventually be signed to Ecstasy Records. With X-Japan and a number of other bands like Zekel and Glay, they would help make Visual Kei popular and influence many future J-Rock bands to follow suit. Luna Sea would find a lot of success and would go on to play in the Tokyo Dome. Many of their singles would go on to top the Oricon charts and appear in places like the Japanese version of Disney's Mulan. One thing I never understood about Luna Sea was the disbandment, or so the media called it. In the year 2000, they kind of went their separate ways, each member doing solo activities for a few years. There would be some times where they would reunite, but yeah. In interviews, they mostly said that they all agreed to venture out while they were in their 30s, to explore new projects that they wanted to do. They officially returned in 2010 and released a new album called A Will in 2013, and they have another album titled A Love. One of the things that makes Luna Sea so great is the fact that there are many composers within the band. The main composers are Jay, Inoran, and Sugizo, with Ryuichi writing most of the lyrics. When I researched their composition, it even seems that Shinya, the drummer, has a lot of input on what they do with the rhythm on their songs. I don't talk about melody styles too much, but if you're looking for examples of bands having unique melody styles, then listen to Luna Sea. Most bands only have a melody style within the vocals, but Luna Sea has them in the guitar too. I mean, they did popularize the J-Rock motif, which I like to call the Sugizo motif. The first song I was ever exposed to was Rosier, and that was one that really hooked me in. I also like the song No Pain, which is a song that has a ton of somber within it. Love Song is probably my favorite Lunacy song if I really think about it. It's just one of those songs that feels really big. And if you're into romance songs, then that one is one of the best. Their newest album, A Will, has a ton of good material on it, and might be some of my favorite stuff that they have. If you like drumming, there's a really good showcase of Shinya within this album, and overall it's just a really good source of composition. If you haven't checked out this album, then I suggest you do. Lunacy is one of my favorite bands. They're one of those bands that I would always put on repeat and just absorb for hours upon hours. Their influence to other musicians rivals X Japan's, and it's just crazy to see that they are still playing, especially with Sugizo also being in X Japan. But yeah, if you haven't heard of Lunacy, then I suggest you check them out. So that was Lunacy, clearly one of the pioneers of Jrock and Visual Kei, and just represents the freshness and good composition that you find within this subgenre. What do you guys think of Lunacy as a band? Leave that in the comments below. Anyways guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. This is Josh the Music Man, signing off.